is telling us as men to be common, to fall in line, to fall short of any visions or plans God has for us. But what about being uncommon? This is a movement of men seeking to build an eternal legacy. A journey of men on mission to rise above the common, to experience sustainable life change. This is Uncommon Disciple. Welcome to the Uncommon Disciple podcast. My name is Michael Bowen, and with me as always is Jared Gibson.
Hello.
And back with us for a second time, our good friend Collin Cottrell. Good evening, Collin.
It's good to be here, my friend.
Good. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
we spent the last few days with one another. So we thought about, man, do we have anything to talk about? Because we've talked the whole time. So we just returned from the Echelon Front Muster 14 in Denver, Colorado, which is just right up the road from us. And so we finished that up today. We were serving at the America Mighty Warriors table with Debbie Lee, also known as Mama Lee, which is Mark Lee's mom, the first Navy SEAL killed in Ramadi, Iraq, that worked for Jocko. So it's good to be here. So, hey, I'm going to start off with a verse, Collin, because, we were praying about what we might speak about earlier this week, but I want to just lift up Romans 12:2, not only for two reasons. One, because I believe it's a verse that'll lead into our conversations, but also you're wearing the shirt, the Uncommon Disciple, Be Not Conformed shirt.
Yes,
So
sir.
Romans 12:2, it says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Yeah.
Now, we don't necessarily just want to be renewed in our mind, but you've gone through some renewal process physically in your body.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, so for those of you that didn't listen to episode 8 with Collin, go back and listen to that if you haven't listened to it already. Collin is the founder and CEO of High Caliber Hunts. We did an awesome hunt in Dallas a few months back. And he also has a coaching business, and God led him into it because of the transformation that occurred within his physical body, with some discipline and training, jiu-jitsu and nutrition.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, man, it's been a journey. It's been a journey over the last couple of years. It's been crazy. Honestly, looking back, it's kind of crazy to think like that I'm coaching people on health stuff right now, because 2 years ago I was 290 pounds, really big, really complacent, not living my life like I should have been. So it's kind of crazy to think, fast forward now 2 years ahead. And
how do you get, what were you normally going at as far as weight is concerned?
I'm a big guy. So I played college football at 200. I was 275 pounds when I played college football. I was a defensive tackle, defensive end. I was fast. I was strong, Division III football athlete, but it wasn't, I was this 290 and I was pretty fat. I was pretty chubby. I wasn't,
that's what I'm saying.
I wasn't strong. I wasn't,
speak to that. Speak to, the complacency that, where you finally had that, where the Lord put on your heart, like, hey, Collin, it's time.
Yeah.
Right. Cause there was a point where you were like, I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and we talked about it a little bit in the first time we podcast together. I went through this journey where it was, I was working on my marriage. I was working on a lot of things, going through some counseling, some things like that. And it was kind of just like the next step of that, that leveling up period. It was, 2020 happened, everything that happened there. And I was very complacent during that year, sitting around, eating food, drinking a lot of bourbon, honestly. Yeah. And my wife was pregnant as well. So she was, doing her thing. So
you were eating along with her.
Yeah. We were enjoying.
Don't mind if I do.
I would go to the store and I'd get the ice cream and the cookies and we'd enjoy it together. So, but what was really cool though is through that year, it kind of woke me up, with everything being kind of crazy, it was like, I need to level up in this next area of my life. And if people want to take me serious, maybe I should live out this lifestyle of being a good man in all areas, not just as a husband,
sure,
but also in my fitness, in my health, and in those areas as well. So, but then through that, obviously it's helped me level up, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So even though I was working on my marriage, it was like it led me down this path of a physical transformation that led me down a mental, emotional, and like I said, now I'm working on the spiritual side. I think we all are, obviously, on that. So, but yeah, it's It's been crazy, man. It's been really crazy. I was not going the right way in my life when it comes to eating and nutrition and those kinds of things. And I started to, I guess what the question was, what was the actual thing that like set me down that path, I guess. I don't even know if there was anything specifically. I just remember waking up one day where it was like New Year's morning, actually. And I had a baby due in 5 days. No, I had a baby due on Christmas. It was 5 days after that was overdue. I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm big, like my face is big, my stomach, I was looking in the mirror, like I feel big. I don't feel like I'm ready to have another kid. I don't feel like I'm in the right position. I had these different ideas for businesses I wanted to start. I was kind of lost in some of that at that point. And I was like, you know what can I do? What can I change right now? I can start working out. I can start eating a little bit better. I can start going down this path of leveling up in that area. That's something I can control. That's on me. Nothing else around me is going to control that. I have to control that myself. So kind of a control freak. And I knew that was something that I had to start taking control of. So I made a goal actually to on January 1st, that same day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing a 1 hour workout 5 times a week. And if I can get 20 workouts in roughly each month, like that should be pretty good for a guy who's working hard and has a family and has a lot of things going on. I should be able to get at least a 1 hour workout in, whether it's a lift, a run, a ruck, something like that. I wasn't training jiu-jitsu yet at that point. So that first month, I remember it was like 20 days in and I was like, wow, I've been getting my work. Or it was the end of the month and I got 20 workouts in or 21 workouts in. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this. Like, this is pretty cool. So kind of started stacking those wins up. I was like, that next month, I was like, you know what? Maybe my nutrition is important too. Obviously, being a college football athlete and understanding nutrition enough, I was like, yeah, that's kind of the next step.
Yeah.
It's like, I got to take control of that nutrition now. Got the workouts dialed in. And typically they say 21 days is what builds a habit. So that 21 days definitely did start to build that workout habit where I was getting those workouts in. But now I started to try to take control of my health and nutrition. And I tried to do it myself at first and I was okay at it. I was good at it. I just didn't have the confidence. Like I don't have a background necessarily in nutrition. So I was like, you know what? I need to figure this out. I need to find somebody who knows a lot more about this than me. And I know that having wise counsel around you is really, really important.
Yes.
And, and just like it is in health and nutrition, like we need to bring people around us that understand that better than us and then hold us accountable as well. So I didn't really have an accountability partner at this point. I had started posting on Facebook. On Instagram. I started posting like day 1 of 365, day 2, day 3, for every day I got at least a 1 hour workout. And so that was my kind of accountability to start out. But then I was like, all right, I got to bring somebody in. Who do I know? Started reaching out to a few people and I was like, oh, Josiah Novak. He's friends with my buddy, Ryan Mickler, and he was training my buddy, Ryan Mickler. I was like, I've seen Josiah's stuff for many years now. It's like, this guy's like, what he preaches is like a lifestyle change, not this quick fix, crash diet stuff. It's like he wants busy dads, busy husbands, busy busy guys just to be able to live a sustainable lifestyle, but also level up in different areas. Whether, if I wanted to start lifting stronger, I wanted to start training. I was going to start training jiu-jitsu then at that point. So I actually hired Josiah and it wasn't cheap. It's not a cheap program. So we were at this point in our relationship where Christina and I were working towards getting debt free at that point too. So it was kind of crazy because we had enough money to like pay off the rest of our debt, or we had like enough money to do this program. And I remember looking at Christina thinking, honey, should we like just finish paying off our debt and be good to go? And she said, I think you know the right choice. I think you know what you need to do here. And she kind of empowered me to take that next step towards working on my health instead of actually just paying off the debt, which was really my goal.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool. So I paid that. It was like $5,000, $5,000 for a 6-month program.
Wow.
Like I said, not cheap, but you know what? I think there's something to be said for that.
Wait a second. I said, wow. And then I caught myself. You know why? Because it didn't cost anything. You really invested in your health.
Amen.
Right. And so
exactly.
I think that's a challenge for us as men, and where we say, oh, it's going to cost. But I bet if we add up the stupid things that we spend money on during the course of the year, I bet we could find that $5,000 and go, oh crap, I like spent that on stupid junk food or whatever, right? But you looked at it as an investment
Correct.
into your health.
And she did,
right?
too.
Well, listen, because in the military, we would do things called preventive maintenance on equipment.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So we do it with pieces of equipment or vehicles, when you go get an oil change or get your brakes done, but we won't do it with ourselves. Right. So I am a big believer in preventive maintenance. Right. So I would rather invest in my health now than invest in fixing my health later. Is what it is. Exactly. The way I look at it.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and Christina's always preached that to me too. She's like, you're going to pay for it later on anyway.
Yeah, so, she just wanted you to look hot, bro.
Well,
she saw you in the mirror too, man.
No. And that's probably the truth. She wants her husband to look good.
Yeah,
She wants him
sure.
to feel good.
Yeah.
She wants to feel good about it too. There's something to be said for that.
Well, maybe it challenged her and encouraged her too, right? You
for
guys
sure.
were doing the walk together.
For sure.
Right?
Well, yeah, and we'll get to that point too. But I was at a point where she knew that I needed to do this. I needed to get on this path. We've been working on our marriage. She knew I needed to make that investment in myself, and I think I knew personally, like, I wasn't going to be able to look her in the eyes and say, honey, I just blew that $5,000 because I didn't follow through on what I said I was going to do. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Now I'm a coach, like you mentioned at the start. I coach for Josiah now. I'm a coach within his system. I'm currently coaching 35 men on the same thing that the same journey that I've been on, which is really cool. So, but at that point, I started thinking like, man, if I pay this money, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to go as hard as I can. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to follow through. But what did that do? It got me down this path now where like anything I say or do, or anything I say, I'm going to do it. Like I want to be a man of my word. And it held me accountable to being a man of my word. And obviously I went down this journey and I look pretty good now. I was 290 pounds down to 210 pounds. I'm down to 210 pounds.
Well, dude,
now.
I could tell you when we trained, when the day that Collin got in, we trained jiu-jitsu here. And the last time I think we trained, it was in Texas a few months ago.
Well, we did. Yeah, we
train. Did.
Yep.
And then before that was Origin Camp.
Yeah.
But I could tell a huge difference, not from Dallas necessarily, but from when we trained at Origin together.
Yeah.
To
huge
now.
Yeah.
Right. You were quicker, stronger, and your jiu-jitsu got better because you leveled up to blue belt recently as well. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know how I got that, but somehow, some way.
No,
but I am in a lot better shape. That there's some, for sure. It's kind of crazy, like, because I've been running, I've been training jiu-jitsu now, I've been lifting a lot more. But it's kind of funny how like this jiu-jitsu thing that I was into this journey already 2 months, and the jiu-jitsu thing is really what has taken me to the next level, honestly, because I'm like, man, I love this. Like, I want to be better at this, and I want to end up competing at some point as well in jiu-jitsu. So, and it's really cool because I get to travel around. I get to train at your guys' gym. I've got to train at other gyms. I want to do the Origin Camp. I want to do all these different things, and like to be able to get better for those and level up when you train against other guys. Like, hey, you got to put the work in. You got to put the time in. So, yeah,
for sure. Yeah, we talked about that in our last podcast.
Yeah, and I think like one of the points that like I'd be curious your take on it, because like so much of America is built around New Year's resolutions, right? Because like you said you started in the 1st of January.
I did,
and there's so many people. I mean, gym memberships are like skyrocket in January, but then like by February, gym memberships decline. You then can go on Craigslist and find everyone's basement gym equipment. Everyone gives up.
Yeah.
What kept you from giving up?
The new year, new you, right?
Wait, the $5,000, right? Hey, dude, if I spend that kind of money, my wife is watching. Believe me, like you better get your butt out of bed, buddy.
I've always had something inside of me that wanted to be this man that I'm becoming now. Yeah. Honestly, I've had that in me, and I've talked about this on other podcasts pretty openly. Like, I just wasn't a man of my word. I was burning a lot of bridges. I was letting a lot of people down. I was hurting a lot of my relationships. I was hurting a lot of my friendships. And I think I finally got to this point where, man, I went through this whole thing with my marriage where, like I knew like I've got to be able to look my wife in the face and in the eyes and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow through. But, you know, and that's what I was being a bull crapper to my wife. And I knew that I had to be a man of my word now and follow through on this. And if I could follow through on this, I can follow through on anything, you know, cause I was pretty big. I was way out of shape. And I ended up following through on that, and now I'm following through in a lot of areas of my life. Thank God, you know, because of that.
And I think that there's so many men that struggle being men of the word, especially nowadays. Like so often men cower, and they then, what do we always do when we're not a man of our word? What do we always use? We always hide behind excuses. Yeah. We always blame one another. We always blame somebody else. Yep. It's not my fault. And, you know, and I think it's important for men to learn and find something to start being a man of their word and start making commitments and following through with them. Yeah. And then maybe it's not doing something huge. Maybe it's doing something small steps.
Exactly.
Finding something to lock into and being a man of your word and following through with it.
And what did I say from the start? You know, it was really a small thing that got me started. It was, hey, just a 1 hour workout 5 times a week. It was a small little step that snowballed into these other areas. So you're exactly right. You know, it doesn't have to be something real big. I talk about this on a few other podcasts lately too, because I'm a baseball guy. I love baseball. You know, we always think the home run is sexy. You know, everybody loves the home run, but I think there's something to be said for the singles, man. The guys who go out there and just get base hits all the time, and are consistent in that, you know what I mean? And that's what leads up to having those opportunities to take you to the next step to hit those home runs. So I'm a perfect example of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a book, I think it was called The Four Agreements. You know, I read a long time ago.
Yeah. I remember I read that as well.
You know, one of the agreements is be impeccable to your word. But, you know, anything that comes from, you know, worldly advice comes from the Bible, right? But Jesus simply said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. When you're making a vow, be a man of your word. And you're right. A lot of people, and I think that's probably for me, I don't want to even call it a pet peeve. You know, I need a lot of grace, but I also need to extend a lot of grace to people because, you know, from day to day, I encounter guys, oh, yeah, man, I'll do it, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, wait. And I go, oh, you know, it just kind of gives me that, you know, I don't judge it necessarily, but I just remember.
Yeah, you do. You judge it.
I don't judge it.
not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way, but it just remembers how my heart can be and the importance of being a man of your word. Because I value loyalty. I value friendship. I value people that say they're going to do what they say they're going to do, or they do what they say they're going to do. And that could be anything. So what that reminds me of is just guard my heart and my mind and my mouth before I say something and just spit it out. Just remember the ramifications, right? Like, okay, now I have to do it because I've said a lot of things and had to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do, but I said I was going to do it. Dang it. And so it's helped me just guard my heart, right?
Right there with you on that, man. Yeah. I'm not perfect by any means. You know, I still have little things where I don't always follow through every single time, but I've gotten way better, and I hold myself to it now. And I think about it, you know, because like what you're saying, like, hey, I said that, I've got to follow through on that. Otherwise,
even if it costs you,
even if it costs me, exactly.
Well, you know, that's funny because it can cost you spiritually, right? I was just talking to this, you guys met that gal, Lauren, who's on the Olympic wrestling team.
Ah, yes.
Right. She's going for the qualifier. And she had talked to me on the side, and she was talking about the fact that when she travels, that she doesn't keep the spiritual disciplines in place that she does when she's at home. And so Jared and I have talked about this to an extent because he travels a lot. Yeah. Right. Having the accountability, having a battle plan before you travel so you don't fall into temptation or you fall into a rhythm of complacency, right? And when you think about that, not falling into the rhythm of complacency and having a battle plan before you go out, it doesn't allow things to creep in, right? So for you, Collin, right, you were making disciplined decisions and keeping them, right? Because here's what happens when you don't do that. And here's what I told her. I said, think of like the Hoover Dam, right? They do inspections on the Hoover Dam consistently. Yeah. Right. And so when little cracks start to occur in the Hoover Dam, they take action. Right. But for me, when I start not being a man of my word, when I start being dishonest about things, or if I start searching websites I know I shouldn't be on, those are cracks in my dam.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, those compromises are going to start a major flood of disaster in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for you, it's the same type of deal. So let me ask you this. What you learned from that physical discipline, Collin, how does that relate into your spiritual disciplines today? Because I know you know, we're all on the journey, right? I say this sanctification process, the closer I get to the Lord, the more he reveals in my heart. And I go, oh Lord, there's still things that you're digging out.
Yeah,
so
of course.
What are some things that you've learned spiritually as you've been on this physical journey?
Yeah. I think for me, like you were talking about discipline, like just being more disciplined in my daily schedule. So for me, like trying to lead my kids better. Yeah. I think that's been a big one. Like I started thinking a lot about, well, I've been posting on social media the last 2 years now, this journey of me getting these workouts. And that's kind of been my, even on the road or wherever I'm at, like I'm getting the workout in, I'm getting my nutrition done. I'm getting I'm checking all these boxes. You know what I mean?
Well, let me stop you there. Yeah. This is what I love about you. So we're at the Echelon front muster, right? And Collin's always checking out what I'm doing, and I'm always checking out what he's doing, and we're checking out what other people are doing to be successful. And so Collin went over to the merch table, right? Which there was a line out the door for the Echelon front, you know, Jocko product line. But he has one of these little helps. It's like a calendar with a checklist on it, right?
Yeah. And
it's a checklist, and we had talked about, I wonder what book he was talking about, right? Be in the book.
Be in the book.
And we're like, be in the scriptures. But it was a checklist of, hey, did I get enough sleep? You know, did I read today? Did I get physical activity? Did I wake up before everyone else? And it was a checklist kind of to keep you on track. It's like check. A little bit to keep you in check. And Jocko's best one, keep you in check. You know, but that is a helpful tool. And it's visual. So you have to see it like, oh crap, I didn't do that today.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Yeah, exactly.
So did you get it for that reason?
Well, I got
just
it.
give another help?
I wanted to put that on the fridge so my wife could see it and so I could see it. And I want us to follow that plan because I do kind of do that for myself.
For sure.
And I don't make my wife check any kind of list off or anything, but she actually just went through 75 hard. I don't know if you know what that is, but
the Andy Frisella program.
But it's
right?
Andy's program. And basically it's 75 days of very intense discipline, you know, is what it is, you know, workouts and drinking a certain amount of water and all these, reading a book and different things like that. So I was like, I know that she completed it, by the way. She completed the whole 75 days, which is amazing.
Legit, man. I know guys that are hardcore that have not completed it because if you fail at one thing, you have to start all over again. Is that true?
All over. Yep.
Yeah. One. So it's like 2 45-minute workouts, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, or one indoor and one outdoor.
Yep.
And if you mess up any part of it, you have to start all over from day one.
Progress photo every day. No alcohol.
Yeah.
You have to follow a certain diet or meal plan.
Use all the first form supplements.
But you know, she completed that 75 days. And here's the kicker. Like you said, I only made it 40 days. So she made it farther than me, and that was kind of the challenge. I was.
Is she competitive?
Very competitive. So I knew I had a feeling
because I know you're competitive, but she's got to be really competitive if you let her beat her.
And she is. And she's.
What did you say you drank a beer or something and blew it?
That's what I did. I drank we were actually on a date night and I totally forgot we were both having a beer or whatever. And like,
was she on this? She wasn't on the 75 hard then.
She wasn't then. No. I was. And I totally forgot it. I was like, oh man,
I blew
it. Thanks a lot, honey.
It's your fault. That sounds like something that Adam it's because of the wife you gave me.
Dang it.
Eve. You know,
but so we've kind of both been in this mode of like, checking things off the list, which isn't always good, I think. But I think in this sense, it was good for us. It really helped us build these disciplines around these certain things. And I think it's going to be a good thing for us to do that on the the refrigerator so our kids can see too that we're
I think it is a good thing, bro. But here's what I think is a good thing. I think the heart of it is a good thing.
Correct. And I think we have the right
because if you're just checking the list,
yes,
correct. That's the wrong heart.
Correct.
But if you're checking the list going, Lord, I want to be more like you. And so I'm just saying, if you went to something like Ephesians 6 and looked at the spiritual armor, okay, did I pray today? You know, am I standing firm in my faith? Like all of these things are there for a purpose, right? For us to follow in our faith walk.
Yeah.
And so having a guide, right? The Bible is our guide, but creating a little help, I think, imagine creating a checklist.
Yeah.
Because here's what, I audit the day. At the end of the night, I'll sit there and go through, okay, what went well?
Yeah.
It's like the debrief.
Yeah.
Right.
Debrief.
What went well today? What didn't go well? What did I do and what did I didn't do?
Yeah.
And a lot of times when things aren't going well in my day, it's because I didn't follow my spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional disciplines. Right.
Well, and you didn't follow through on your mental checklist, you
Yes.
know, and you didn't go through it.
But you can go back
you
and
can think about it,
diagnose.
you know.
You can go back and
Yeah,
diagnose it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've kind of both been in this mode of checking things off the list, and I was like, that'd be kind of cool to put that up, because kind of the next thing for me is like, okay, if I can do this in my health and nutrition and all these other areas, in my life, why can't I do this with my praying with my kids, reading the Bible? Like, and I have a group of guys that are, back home. They're my men that we meet for small group with my church.
Sure.
So, and we kind of hold each other accountable on that kind of stuff. And they kind of got me thinking too, because they've seen this journey. I went from big guy to little guy, and they kind of joke with me now. It's kind of funny, but they kind of put it on me and said, "Hey man, you're doing all this in all these other areas. Let's see you do this now in your faith." You know what I mean? Which I do want to. And I take that as, yeah, let's go.
Yep.
Let's get after it, So that's one thing I'm working on. Like, I want to read the Bible to my kids more. I want to pray in the mornings. We're kind of going through this thing where we took away the TV, we took away the game pads, the iPads and stuff like that.
Did you hear that? I don't think Jared knows that. Jared, did you? So for the summer, Collin and his wife, because you have to have an agreement with your spouse.
Yeah.
Because if you only have it on one side, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But him and Christine had an agreement to not let the kids have electronics for the summer.
Wow.
And so they have to find. And here's what that would do in my house. My wife, once the kids started driving once the kids started driving my wife mad, she'd be like, "Get out of here." Can I play the game? Yeah, whatever. Just get out of
And we're not taking it away 100%. It's like, if we're gonna do it, it's gonna be like a movie night or something like that. But we're not
a family movie night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So then focuses it on the family.
Correct. Correct.
So what Collin and I talked about in that regard is also, as parents, we have to lead by example. And this is, we had this discussion earlier in the week. When I was growing up, my dad smoked cigarettes, right? And don't you ever smoke, as he's sending me down to the local deli in Philadelphia with a buck in my hand to go buy him a pack of cigarettes. And guess what I did at like 11 years old? I'm smoking a cigarette, right? So it was like, we have to lead by example as parents. So that means that if we're doing work, right, we might have to, Collin's got a different trailer he does his work in. So he's not at home on his cell phone, uploading social media things and, posting some stuff up about a hunt, because the kids are going to go like, well, how come you get to be on your phone, Daddy?
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I got to do better in that myself. I've started to work on it, but my wife does call me out. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
She just gives you the look.
She gives me the look, and she kind of,
All right. So let's talk about that look when we come back from break. So, hey, this is a Uncommon Disciple podcast. And just want to remind everyone, we really appreciate you listening in. And we want to hear from you. If you hear something on the podcast that speaks to you and that encourages you, we want to know. If there's some topics that you want to talk about, let us know that too. And as we're screening guests, we'll consider that. So thank you for listening, and we'll be right back. So welcome back to the Uncommon Disciple podcast. We're back with Collin Cottrell. Collin, let's talk about that look that your wife gives you.
Look.
Yeah.
Look.
Hey, guys give each other looks too. Like,
what's up?
I see.
I see you.
I see you, bro. Good.
No, man. No, yeah. She'll give me the look, and she knows that I need to put the phone away. And
let me ask you this. Here's where I know where someone's heart's at, right? And the ego.
Yeah.
When she gives you that look, what stirs up immediately? Is it like, well, what are you telling me what to do? Like,
no, I see.
Ever?
I've checked the ego.
Was it like that at first?
No, for sure not. But I definitely have had to check that ego, and I have to. I think deep inside right away, I'm like, man, I should probably go put the phone away. So I've started to do that more and more, but it's tough. I work on an internet marketing. My marketing stuff is all on the internet. My coaching's all on the internet. Selling hunts and stuff like that is basically through the internet. Mostly social media related stuff like that. So been doing this for 15 years. It's something it's not an easy thing to break.
For
but
sure.
I know it's important for me to spend time with my family. Another thing that we're going to work into our schedule is we want to sit down for either lunch or dinner at least 3 or 4 times a week, I think is what we were going to do.
Good.
4 times a week at least.
Dude, so important.
If we can.
We do this, we make the same commitment. Even
Yeah.
that's why we eat so late. You know, some of our classes, our latest evening class doesn't end until 7:30. And you know what jiu-jitsu what happens.
Yeah.
People stick around.
Yeah,
and
and
they're talking and they're practicing different moves.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't get home for dinner until like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Well, that's
And-
for us too.
Yeah, and so we've gotten used to, actually our house is actually adjusted because we homeschool the 2 girls, right?
Yeah.
And then Caleb just sucks it up because he stays up late and then he's got to get up early for morning. And you know, right, especially now because he's got football camp.
I might need to get some tips from you on like how you adjust to that, because you know,
Yeah.
for me too, it's the same thing. My jiu-jitsu class is at 7, Sophia's at 6, I'm at 7,
Yep.
and you know, I get home late, so then we got to eat together. We got I'm on I like to eat certain things because obviously I'm trying to work on my nutrition still. I've got more goals I'm trying to work towards, so I'll definitely have to get some tips from you on that. But yeah, man, I just know that you know, I know that I need to put that phone away. I know that I need to spend more quality time with my family, and like you said, just lead from the front. And leading from the front is what's going to help take them to the next level, because they're going to say, "Hey, Dad's doing this," or "Dad's doing a certain way." And here's a perfect example. I kind of started to talk about my wife's journey a little bit now. She did 75 hard as well, but she didn't start on this journey until I was over a year into my journey.
Yep.
She was like, I guess he isn't BSing me. You know what I mean? Like he's really following through. Like, I guess I should probably start doing something now too, you know? And I didn't make her do anything. I didn't tell her she had to do anything. She kind of came to me and said, "Hey, what should I start doing here? How should I do this? Or how can I start working out? Should I join jiu-jitsu? Should I start doing some different classes?" So we kind of started talking about that. She found this thing. She was at the park one day, at a local park. And, there's these ladies out there doing these workouts, like they had a mat and they had these, you know, just different workout stuff they were doing, mostly body weight type stuff. And it was called Camp Gladiator. And it's like jujitsu, or excuse me, it's like CrossFit functional fitness type stuff without all the barbells and stuff like that. And so she's like, "That looks kind of cool." I was like, "Well, go check it out. You know, that'd be kind of cool if you like it, you know, if it pushes you." So that's what she started doing. She started doing that, and kind of led her down that journey of starting to work out again. She's always been very physically fit and always into working out. And she actually was going for her master's in nutrition. So she understands a lot of this stuff, but you know, she's in mom mode. She's a mom. She's a wife. She just had a baby a year ago before that. So she was like, "All right, it's time to quit being complacent in my own life. Collin's leveling up. Now it's time for me to level up." And I said, "Hey, cool. Awesome. Sounds great."
Yep.
But I didn't force it on her. I knew I had to lead from the front, and you know, I think that's the best way you can do anything.
Listen, our encouragement can be an example to others. And I say that when you kind of get on that path, right? The path of righteousness or the path of healthy eating or physical activity, that it's contagious to the people around you.
Yeah,
true. It is.
True.
Watch your kids. You know, they'll start doing burpees with you. And
they do. They do push-ups.
You know, like my son and my daughter both were like, "Hey, can we work out today, Dad?" And I'm like, and they used to be afraid to work out with me because I get after it. Right? So they'd be like, "Oh, I can't keep up with that." I have had friends say that. I think I've told you this, Jared. I've had a couple of guys go, "I ain't working out with you, bro, because I'll die."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, bro, I just want the fellowship. I just want to hang out with you. We can go for a walk. I'm good for a walk. I'm good for a little hike. I don't have to, you know, go throw a lot of weight up or do jujitsu twice or 3 times a day.
Not every time anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, but sometimes just having the fellowship, because that helps us with our mental and emotional side too. So listen, I might not be a golf player, but if a guy asks me, "Hey man, you want to go shoot 9 holes or whatever?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'll go out and get some fellowship with you." You'll just get mad at me because I suck at golf.
Yeah. And that's what it's turned into for us. It's like one of those things where we want to work the family into it. So we do a lot more of these family walks and stuff like that in the evenings, you know, on days that we're not doing jiu-jitsu stuff. Hey, we'll go for a family walk. Or like my wife, we try to get a certain amount of we kind of have this thing where we try to challenge each other who can get the most steps. Wow. That's one of the things as well. So
yeah, I noticed that at the muster too, man, that you were tracking some steps.
Checking my steps a lot. Yeah. It's just because it's really important. You know, it's important to me. It's become something that, you know, I want to.
She's got to do jiu-jitsu, bro. I say a family that rolls together stays together.
I think she'd do well. She's strong, very strong, and she's, like you said, competitive. You know, it's just about finding the time.
Are you
and
afraid
stuff,
she'll
too.
choke you out, man? She beat you in 75 hard, man.
She already chokes me out. What are you talking about?
Dude, hey, dude, my daughter, Taya just recently got her blue belt too. And so I saw with Caleb, because he's only 15, so he can't get up into the adult belt yet. And I saw him like he got all mad. He's like, yeah, I'll still beat you, right? He's yelling. He's been training for, almost, he's going into his 8th year as well. And so he's probably at the, like the amateur purple belt level, right? Yeah. But he's good. He grapples with all the adults here. Mm-hmm. But I could see it, with his sister. He's like, yeah, I could still choke you out. So I was just thinking, if your wife starts training, bro,
it's funny because we'll be at home just kind of messing around on the floor in the living room, and I'll be like, come on down here.
Does she posture up?
So I'll get her in guard or whatever. We'll start doing some stuff. She's like,
you heard the guard story from we're not going to talk about that.
No.
We'll save that for another.
We'll save that for another whole episode.
Yes.
But so we have fun with it. She's asked me several times. She's like, you think I should join and stuff? I'd be open to it. I have no problem with it. I think it's more like, it's just we don't have the time right now and the capacity because we've got 3 kids and it's just a lot going on. But hey, at some point, I think
some guys are weird about it, man. We had a couple here, right? His wife started training here, and then he's like, well, I can't go anymore because that's going to be your thing now. And I'm like, bro, it's like, you should be stoked that your wife is training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we get that in the hunting world a lot too. Like some guys will be like, if my wife starts hunting, like, no, she's not coming with us. She can go with her own people,
Dang, bro.
But
listen, it's good to be out with the guys.
I kind of get that, though, because like it is important to have that time with the guys and kind of have the thing that you do with the guys.
Well, we have a women's class here, so we have a women's class here a few nights a week. So what I've noticed is that class is packed with ladies, bro, because they want that camaraderie just as much as we do, right? So instead of the girls going out into town to get lit, they're here choking one another, right? A lot of them will stay over and do jiu-jitsu in the all hands class right after. But I think it's healthy, man. I mean, I love having my kids here and my wife, and listen, they're not jiu-jitsu widows, right? By staying at home or falling behind. So having them involved in things that I'm doing, I love it. Yeah. Right. So even doing the podcast, Jared and the kids are like, hey, I want to do this podcast. It's like, awesome. Yeah. We'll set you up.
We'll help you. Yeah.
And we kind of talked about this last time too. Now, Sophia, she's got 3 stripes on her white belt.
She's leveling up, bro.
She's working at it, and it's cool to see that. Like she saw me doing it and she's like, Dad, that looks like you enjoy that. Like, can I try? And she's kind of shy, so I was like, cool. Yeah, let's go. It's kind of become our thing too, where we spend that time together. Cause now I'm helping.
Is Sophia more like you or Christine?
I don't know. She's a lot like me, but she's kind of got a little bit of the shyness like Christina.
Yeah.
But at times she can be outgoing if she wants to be. So I don't know. She's got my hard-headedness. She's a little hard-headed.
Well, she's going to be a killer on the mat is what I'm saying.
But she's working at it. She's getting, she's 6 years old.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool to see. And it was her choice. Like, it was her thing, like, to want to do that. So, hey, I'm cool with it. And now it's become kind of our thing we do together.
Yeah.
And I get to go, I kind of help coach, my coach, I help him coach the kids class now before mine. Cause it's like, I'm not going to just drive home.
Sure.
So I go help with that. And that's helped me level up too. Cause I'm going back to the basics when I do that, learning the basics over and over and over again. So it's been a big help.
You have women in your jiu-jitsu academy?
We do. Yeah.
So have Christina just drop in, man. And
we have a couple women that are working hard at it too.
Yeah.
They're beginners too, but
dude, I find Gigi was just talking about this. And he said that the gals that they brought over, because we went to Worlds, right? Just recently. And the gals they brought over from Brazil, like they had to split them up off the mat, man, because they were about to throw down with each other. Like they're just killers. Right. They were training harder than the guys were. So there is a competitive aspect to it.
For sure.
The killer comes out.
She'd probably level up pretty quick. I know that.
Yeah.
She's very competitive. So she's actually training right now for what's called the CG games. So it's kind of like CrossFit games or like what we do for competition. It's like their competition. So she's like going to do like the regional. And then if she makes it through the regional, she can go to like the, I guess, state. And then from state, I think you can go to the US or something like that. I don't know all the details on it, but I know she's like leveling up now. She's working towards these other goals.
Imagine if we approach our faith like that, guys, right? Listen, that we are preparing, for eternity, right? That's all we're doing. It's like, hey, that preparation needs to be just as much spiritually as it does physically. So, that just challenged me as I said it.
No, that's awesome, man. But yeah, man, it's been quite the journey though. This health journey thing, it's like I said, it's kicked me into a whole nother gear as a man. And it's like I said, it's not just a physical thing. The physical thing is the cool part that everybody sees. They're like, wow, you look different, you act different, all this stuff. It's like, I'm a different guy. Like I'm on a whole nother level and I'm surrounding myself with a whole new group of people too. Not because I don't care about the people I used to hang out with, but I just know how important it is now to be around other guys that are going to challenge me, hold me accountable. I'm not the best guy in the room. And I used to be the guy who was usually the better guy in the room, or, now I'm the guy who's like the lowest on the total.
Well, everyone's got gifts, right? And we become the sum of the people that we surround ourselves with. So let's just take, for example, because we all went on the hunting trip with you. And that was, we recorded the last podcast, I think it was number 8, before we went on the hunt. And we went with a quality group of guys.
Very quality.
So what I'd like to talk about, Collin, because I think this is critical. When you put yourself in environments like that, the Lord shows up and awesome things happen. So we go out on this awesome hog hunt in Texas, and I didn't know what to expect. All I knew was we were up for a few days, already, and we were going to be up all night. Yeah. And I was like, oh crap, I'm going to be tired. Nice. I started getting that pity party internally, but I was just as much excited.
Yeah.
And
because you haven't done a lot of hunting, and you guys haven't done
something I do every day.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So for me,
especially a thermal hog hunt in Texas, that's kind of a cool thing.
Hey, listen. So the attraction of doing something like that is like, that's going to be awesome. But I also was really excited about the group of guys that were going because high caliber hunts. You named that because you wanted high caliber experiences that happen while people were on the hunts. Yeah. So getting people engaged physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Yeah. Is something that you look to have as an encounter.
It's who I am. Yeah. It's who I'm becoming through this journey, So it just makes sense. It's like, if I want to stay on this journey, I know there's a lot of other guys that want to surround themselves with the same like-mindedness, So why can't we create a hunting opportunity or experience that's high caliber,
So what was cool about that trip was we had the thing at the barbecue where you told me to get up and you said, hey man, speak a few words. I kind of did like
that was cool, man.
20 or 30-minute sermon, right? Basically is what it was. And then we go out in the hunt.
It was practical. It was just,
but then guys started opening up, dude. Like everyone started becoming vulnerable, not like crying and, getting all teary-eyed.
No.
But people were like, hey man, I really struggle in that area. And then that carried over into the hunt because now we're walking together, we're, getting our stuff together. We're traveling from one place to another. And the guides that you had on the trip,
Sean, watching and listening,
Sean and Todd,
dude, stuff happened.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the feedback that you got.
And I kind of want to go back, the whole idea of like a high caliber hunt for me, like where it came from is the idea to be intentional about that opportunity, about that experience, about that time together. So I do the hunting camps as well, which is more of like what I want to push towards, but doing these one night thermal hog hunts or bow fishing trips and stuff is like, it's kind of cool because it makes it easy for guys who just want to come in for one day and spend some time together quickly and then head on with life. Cause life is crazy. Life is a guy like JP did now. Like that guy barely has any time to do anything. So getting him on a hunt.
Dude, I was surprised actually because it was right after the event, right?
Yeah.
And so when you said, hey man, see if JP will come on, I called him and I was literally thinking there's no way he's going to do it because I know what they start to do as they wrap up like just now.
Yeah.
I know they're going out to a team dinner and then everyone's, getting ready. They're packing up and they got to jump on a plane to go home. Yeah. And so JP just happened to be home because Dallas is his home when the event happened.
Yeah.
And when he came, I was like, good grief, man. Yeah. For him to clear his calendar, he was excited to go on the hunt.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm trying to say, I guess, going back to this, I told you like I want to be intentional about this experience and how we fulfill this because we talked a lot about this. You and I
prayed about it before we even started.
Yeah. Because remember, I was saying like, I don't think we necessarily have to just have Christians on these hunts. It doesn't. I don't. I just want guys who are working on themselves. That's the stipulation. Like. Be somebody who's wants to work on yourself and those kinds of things. And then I'm just going to obviously being a Christian and the Holy Spirit working through me, I'm just going to let things happen how they happen.
Let God lead it.
Exactly. And that's kind of what happened with that hunt. Like we were intentional about, obviously I said, hey, I'd like you to speak, Michael. I know you have a good word for this, and whatever that is, it's going to be whatever it is. And it was an excellent word. And then from there, I think that just opened up that opportunity for men in that group to be a little bit more open about what we were going to talk about that night. Yeah. So then it led into JP giving his testimony. It led into a couple other guys talking about some of the struggles and things they're going through. And then all of a sudden, the next thing we know, we've got my guy Sean crying in the side by side, telling us his testimony, and then we all start like tearing up. Yes. And I'm just like, oh my God. He's like, man.
Well, we got in the truck with him after, and he shared with us what he shared with you guys. And bro, here's a former police officer, this dude's a hard Texas guy, right? Yeah. Like he's not the, the weenie guy that, sits behind, whatever, he's a real Texas guy. Right. And watching him break down and just get vulnerable, you knew it was the Lord. And so that's what I thought, the hunting was awesome. Oh, but I thought what made that trip powerful was the fact that guys connected.
Yes.
The camaraderie, the connection that we had with each other. I mean, we're going to talk about that trip, I think, for the rest of our lives because of that. And, there was a few guys on that trip that you guys didn't know and that they didn't know you guys were going to be together on that hunt. And we all built these relationships now where I think we're going to stay in touch now. Corey and some of his friends were there, and then JP. And that's what's really cool about this high caliber mentality that I have is like, it's bringing this community of people together, and it's building something way bigger than I could personally do. I couldn't do this.
Yep.
I know it's God. I know it's the Holy Spirit working through this, connecting guys together so they can build these relationships with other like-minded guys and then just continue to hold each other accountable, work on different things. So it's amazing, man. Like I don't even know what to say. Like it's awesome.
And I think this is a good word for men, Jared. You and I have talked about this a lot, even because in your vocation, right? A lot of people feel like, I feel like I'm being called to ministry and I need to have this title of pastor or teacher or, having a title. Yeah. Right. And I say, God can use you in your vocation. Amen. God can use you in your business right where you're at. And if you stay faithful there, He'll open the doors for you. We had a conversation with Carlos Mendez on one of our quick hits at the muster. And he was talking about the fact that, he's working at this high paying investment banking job, goes to church with his family, right? As he's on his way to church, he's getting his phone blown up by these investment, customers, this investment banking customers. And he's like, honey, I got to go home and take care of this. Mm-hmm. He Ubered back home from church. And on the way home in the Uber, the Lord spoke to him and was like, wait, this isn't, what are you doing? This is not what this is not what I called you to do.
Right.
And at that moment, he made a decision that he was done. Yeah. And the Lord opened the door.
It's awesome.
And now he's impacting thousands of people, on a level that he probably would never do. Thousands. Yeah. He would never do, in a ministry position or an investment banking position, but God knows what he's doing.
And like part of that goes into like, when I've always talked about getting ahead also of God, because like one of our default responses is if we get excited or we think, oh, God wants me to go to ministry, we start taking control over the ship, the plane or whatever, and we start driving it towards our goals rather than God's goals. And the thing God had to break me of is like, no, I'm the captain. You're not the captain.
Yep.
And when I finally let God be the captain of my life, that's when things actually started to flow according to his purpose.
Yeah. And it probably became easier in your life for things to happen, like you weren't relying on yourself. So you're just like, all right, Lord.
Things would just naturally happen. It wasn't me trying to like make phone calls and being up all the time and like running myself ragged, trying to like pursue this big dream. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm so grateful because God's in control. God's guiding it.
Man, and I can tell you right now, like once I let that go, I have the same testimony that's happening in my life right now with high caliber hunts and with the coaching stuff. Like that all came to me through this drive to obviously level up in my life. But then the next part was to serve, and I knew that it wasn't just to serve myself anymore. Yes. It was to serve others and to help others. And through that, I just said, you know what, God, you take hold of this. I can't do this myself. I know I can't. I've tried to do this myself, in my other past businesses, and it was successful in financial ways and some other ways. But man, my heart was was dead.
Yeah.
I was not there. Things were not good. And I just let it all go for these opportunities, and it just keeps happening. The bills keep getting paid, hunts keep getting filled. I keep getting surrounded by amazing men, amazing people. Word keeps getting out. I keep getting asked to come on podcasts. I keep getting asked to come to different events like this to help out. And the word gets out there more and more. And it's just like, just starts building, and it's just snowballing, and it's like, it's not me.
Hey, bro, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you. So, that is an amazing testimony in itself. And I think that's an important principle as well, Collin, is we're to love God and serve him and serve others, right? Instead of our own selfish desires. And I think when your heart is pointed and directed at serving others, that's also, that speaks volumes. I remember when I was a rescue swimmer, there was a motto they had, so others may live, right? Like, I want to live too. Yeah. Like, I don't want to die rescuing someone, but so others may live. And so for you, taking people out in these hunts, you're like, I want others to have an experience, because
of course,
like, you want a good hunting experience, obviously. Yeah. And I was watching, because you didn't hunt much on the hunting trip. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy loves hunting, and he's just having joy watching other guys, man, knock down these hogs and having the experience of their life. Yeah.
And that's just something that I've built. I love to do my own hunting and do my own stuff, but honestly, just being in that community with those people, like, I knew you hadn't been hunting a lot, so I wanted to spend some time with you. I wanted to spend some time with some of the other guys that hadn't been, doing a lot of that. And I knew that it was just a great opportunity to spend time with guys. And I didn't have to be the guy doing the hunting. I could be kind of the host and the guy just hanging out, having a good time. And it was great. I love it. That's almost become my passion now, more than just going myself, taking others out and watching them enjoy it. And then just kind of being the facilitator and kind of being intentional about the conversation.
Yeah. Dude, I love watching others win. I really do. I get more joy watching others win than I do myself. Like, even when we were at the International Masters in the Worlds, I wanted people to, like, I love seeing them win and just experience that. And whether it's my kids or my wife or my friends in business, man, I'm the biggest cheerleader. I want to see other people win.
Man, and now that I get to coach people on the health and nutrition stuff, like, I tell them when we do our roadmap calls, I'm like, I'm your biggest advocate here. Like, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to be real with you. We're going to give you the tools, all the resources, all the things to help you have the success to make your own transformation. But I'm going to be cheering you on, man. Like, I want to see you win, and I want to do whatever I can to help you win. So it's cool to be able to take that mentality into the coaching, into the hunting, into other areas of my life. And it fulfills me, man.
Well, it was something I noticed on the hunt. I saw you with this big, grin on your face. Like, you got one,
like, just pumping guys up, man. I love that. I love seeing guys have a good time. And that's the guide in me too. Like, I want to see guys have success, of course, because that's what, in the hunting world, the success thing is like, oh, you got to kill, or, everybody got to kill or whatever. But it's been cool to see where the success of my hunts hasn't necessarily just been about the kill. It's been about the experience, the opportunity, connecting with other guys, building relationships, building business relationships, building friendships, just building this community out.
Well, I love seeing guys win spiritually too.
Yeah, of course.
Guys that come in, to study or to jiu-jitsu or into church, that are broken, and, man, you just won't understand, man. No one will ever. And, like, dude, like, not only am I your biggest cheerleader, but the Lord is your biggest cheerleader. You have an advocate right now rooting for you, And I think that's an important lesson for us to realize that, we're not alone in this battle in life, whether we're hunting or whether we're, doing the spiritual walk, but we have to put guys around us. And you said it. There were some people, I call them blessed subtractions, Collin. You have to have some blessed subtractions in your life, and you have to know when to make that call, right?
I think we outgrow each other sometimes a little bit too. It's not anything bad. It's just they're going another direction. I'm going another direction, and they might not want to. They don't want to see me succeed like I want to see them succeed, and they might not be ready for me to help them succeed. And I was ready to move forward in my life in certain areas. So just kind of outgrow each other, at some point.
Yeah, there's one thing of, rolling over people to get to advance.
Yeah.
Right? You don't ever want to be that guy, right? But it's another thing trying to drag people along with you that don't want to go.
That's not healthy either.
It's not.
Oh.
And so those are the blessed attractions I was talking about.
Yeah.
And it could be family.
Yeah.
It could be close family. It could be, relatives or friends. And as you're going, it's like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, hey, come on.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, I don't want to go.
Doesn't mean that anytime I'm with those people, I'm not going to enjoy my conversation with them. We're probably not going to talk about certain things and certain topics, and that's okay. And that's just kind of how things work sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be bold in my faith. I'm going to be bold in who I am and in the things I've built in my life and the talents that God has given me through that and the qualities and the characteristics I've built through discipline and working hard. But hey, I still love them. I still care about them. They might not be on that same path, and that's okay. But maybe I'm leading from the front for them.
Yep.
You just don't know what's going to happen down in the future. And they might be like, you know what? I kind of like the way Collin's going. Maybe I need some more of that in my life. Whether it's the Lord.
Well, that usually happens, right? When people get to a certain point, they'll say, "Hey, Collin, there's something going well in your life." As I'm tracking along with you, watching the way you talk to your wife and lead your kids. And I want to be a part of that.
I hope so.
Well, Jared's had that happen to him as well. So, leaving off on that topic, we do this thing called Final Thoughts. You've been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
What would you say to some men right now that are struggling or they're in a position of, making a decision right now, like what you had to make, where they're looking in the mirror and not maybe just physically, but spiritually. I remember I read a book called The Man in the Mirror. And it was guys that, it's like taking a spiritual look at themselves. So let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll pick up on that thought.
Cool.
All right. We're back with Collin Cottrell. Collin, we left off with a final thought, and you said you had one for men that you feel would encourage them with where they're at right now. And, go ahead.
I just know that there's a lot of men that are right now in the same position that I was in, in 2021, where, I knew that there was more that I needed to do in my life, but I didn't know exactly how to get there. So what I did, fortunately, it worked out for me, is I just started doing the small things. I started getting the 1 hour workout a day, you know what I mean? And then the 1 hour workout a day turned into 20 days. The 20 days turned into 40 days. And then from there, it turned into me hiring a coach, to help with my nutrition. And then I realized hiring a coach was so important that I needed to start to surround myself with more men that were on the same path, who were like-minded, who could help me level up in these other areas. Yeah. So from there, it just led into that next stage, where not only did I physically change, but like I said, I had this mental, this emotional, this spiritual change as well. So I think what's important is I think men just need to get started. I think they just need to start doing the little things right in their life. And those little things are going to start to turn into the bigger things, and they're going to have an opportunity for the exciting things later on down the road. The little things are not always, like I said, they're not always exciting, especially in the moment. You don't always have everybody clapping their hands, cheering you on, patting you on the back. That's what makes it really tough. But down the road, when you went through that hard time, somewhat alone in a sense, within your community, it turns into this opportunity where now you've got all these people clapping for you, cheering for you, pumping you up. And it's like, cool, I've worked hard on the little things. Now the big things are happening for me in my life, and I'm going to do them well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It reminds me of the book of Joshua, where God had to remind Joshua to be strong and courageous, right? He says, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and of good courage, and do not be afraid nor dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Joshua was a warrior, right? He was one of the most fierce warriors in Moses' army, right? In God's army. But, the way I think about that is that when you're on that river bank of the Jordan, if you think of Joshua crossing over in Joshua chapter 3, warriors cross over and warriors stay behind. Those that get stuck in their thinking, they won't cross. They won't take the step. Yeah. So take the first step, man.
Yeah. That's good.
And God will fight your battles.
Yeah.
Good.
Take the step.
Take the step.
Man, there might be something there. I might need to hashtag that. Yeah. Take the step.
Take the step. So, cool, but don't do it without God's leading.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah. Amen.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, bro. And we'll probably have a part 3 or 4, 5 to this at some point. But until then, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.